happening, guys? Dan here, D Speed Shop. If you're somehow here by the YouTube recommendation, you might as well subscribe right now. It's good content. Now, it's mediocre content. So we've been working on this damn 66 Biscayne. On the very last video, we put a small block Chevy in it. Ooh, the lifeblood of hot rods, small block Chevy. Now, we did have a big block in here. That big block, I realize a small block is not nearly as exciting, but as I have figured out in my days, a no good big block is worse than a mediocre running small block. So the goal today, get this thing together. We fired it up in the last video with open exhaust and all that. Today, we're gonna make it so it runs and drives and we can actually take it for a ride around the block. Well, or wherever we gotta go. So there's a lot screwing around. As you can see, the throttle linkage is just a piece of wire. This return spring is who knows what, the wiring, and there's just junk everywhere. And the exhaust. So now the problem is with the big block, we had these giant 2-inch primary and the 3.5-inch collectors. 3.5-inch collectors. Now we switched over to small block headers, which go into 3-inch collectors. So we have to do a little modification. Now, the head, of course they're used headers. Who would put new headers on something? Now, as you guys probably know, if you bought used headers, they never ever come with collectors. Unless you're, well, lucky. I'm never that way. So my used headers just had the flange on the end, so we have to build collectors. So that's what we're gonna start off today. This is what I just did. Just a piece of 3-inch pipe and a flange. We welded it together, and we're now gonna modify this. We got a little baby collector. So we're gonna put these together. So I'll pop in there and show you exactly what we're accomplishing. Then we'll start building that. I like the exhaust 100% done. Double check everything underneath. We have to put nuts on the motor mounts and double check the transmission to motor bolts, because I know for a fact I'm missing one or two, which makes me think I probably didn't tighten a couple of them. Go through all that, then we should be able to drop this thing on the ground and then work at waist height, which is always nice. Let's get started. Okay, so you can hold all your positive comments to the end. So now, here's the rinky-dink exhaust I had. It went from those giant headers, and then I had some swoops to do, and I didn't want to go a bunch of screwing around with a bunch of bends, so I bought some flexi pipe, which, I mean, it's good enough for semi-trucks, good enough for me. So I cut that off. That's essentially what we did have. Now, a nice thing about this 3-inch pipe, as it worked out, is that the idea is it's 3-inch inside diameter. The outside diameter fit nicely in a 3.5-inch collector. But now what we're going to do, we're going to use it its intended purpose. We're going to put the 3-inch pipe inside, just like that. We'll put a muffler clamp on that. In the meantime, we'll just be able to tighten that up, muffler clamp it, and we should be dialed. Now, maybe I should mark this real quick. If I had a marker, it would be sweet. Well, whatever the closest tool is. Make sure we have enough meat left in the pipe for a clamp. Oh yeah, we should be good. We got a good 2 inches there. All we gotta do is gasket it, clamp it, and this side is done. So I'm gonna get that taken care of real quick, and then we'll chop the other side apart. So, here we are. We're gonna make ourselves a collector. So all you need is some scrap 3-inch. This is left over from the exhaust, but tech tip, you go behind the old muffler shop, a lot of times they have little scraps like this. You can build it for free. These bought from the Speed Shop. They have, I don't know if this makes any difference or not, but they're kind of got a beveled edge. They got a flat edge. I always like to use the absolute flat edge for a mating surface. Just kind of makes sense in my mind. So we're going to go ahead and clean this up real quick with the grinder. If you had rusty metal, you want to do it anyways. This place has a bunch of oil and junk on it from being shipped. Good enough. I'm going to clean up this edge just a little bit as well. You know, when you're welding, you got to have it absolutely perfect. Mean. Okay, welder. Turn it right to 11. What's going on here? Yeah, that'll do it. So now we're just gonna go ahead and eyeball this. So put it on, kind of flush it up. Probably on the wrong side to be filming this, but I'll show you after. Give her one of those. And when you weld it, it's gonna wanna pull. Do a little push back. Probably fine. Quick ugly welds. That's what we're left with. Ooh, so now we'll go underneath. All I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put this up against my header. I'll eyeball where the other exhaust is, make a mark, then we'll cut it maybe 2 inches past. This will slide in the exhaust. Okay, so we ran over, gave it a quick mark. That's about where we want that. So if you have a chop saw, good for you. But for us poor people, try and make a straight cut. You can use a Sawzall too, but I love the zip cut. It's my absolute favorite tool. Piece of tape here. Give her a little, kind of something like that. And then just the inside line will be straight-ish. We're not going for perfection here, but we don't want to be embarrassed on the internet. So give it a quick zip, and then we'll weld on the flange completely. This thing's done. Man, a vise is your friend. You can kind of loosen it, it'll hold it. Okay, there we go, that's done. Go ahead and, whoops. Man, you guys are right in the way with this tripod. Hook up the welder. Gentle, gentle. Okay, so we got this piece all dialed together. I don't know what the best way to weld for me is. Unfortunately, it doesn't really show the best for you guys, but it's comfortable for me. So we're gonna buzzer. Now obviously going from a thinner metal to a thicker metal, crank the welder up, and I start here and kind of just flow her into the exhaust. Oh yeah, that's looking all right. It's like semi-professional welds right here. One more. Now this, again, this has to be sealed up. Just gotta be constant weld. Oh, I burned through. It's embarrassing. I'll fix it. How are we doing there? Man. So that's done. Let this cool off a little bit. Wow, look at that weld. Whew. I'm impressed. Not so much there, that's why I burned through, but otherwise, damn. Now, we kept this real flat. If your pipe was sticking out past the flange, give it a little hit with the grinder, but it should be fine. That's gonna be your mating surface. No exhaust gases will get out. Your cherry. Okay, so we're under here. We got our bolts already through the collector. I do have a gasket on there. Here's our homemade collector. Now, I like to put this high temp silicone on it. I don't know if anyone else does this or not, but collector gaskets are like the #1 thing I feel like I wear through. So we got that together. Now we're actually gonna slip it in the exhaust. There we go. Give her a bit of a line up. Gentle, gentle. Try not to knock all the bolts out of it. What's this one not lined up? There we go. Give her a bit of a wiggle. There we go. So we can get them started. The problem is this flexi exhaust kind of wants to go back to its shape of straight. We need a crooked. Story of my life, eh? Oh, come on. Let's get started. Perfect. Impact. Close enough. This one going. I'll do the back one after. So now we've got that all together. Here's the genius of the flex line. Slip this over it. Now this will squish down there. Always run your hanger so the bolts are off to the side so they don't hang too low. Gentle, gentle. And we're making fast work of this. Man, the snap-on is not happy. Perfect. Tighten those up. We're all done. While I'm under here, I'm going to zip tie everything up out of the way. I think I've missed a few things. Also, I noticed up here, that bolt right there holding the transmission of the motor, it's loose. So we'll go through, do all that. I think the transmission shift cable is kind of doing its own thing too. So a couple of zip ties go a long way, and then we can drop this thing down on the ground. So I'm not standing on a stool anymore. That always is a nice win of a day. Oh, damn, this car looks good. So I put it on the ground. I did start it up. Still sounds cool, no exhaust leaks. I was like, oh, I'll show that or whatever. And I thought to myself, idiot, you're gonna work on the motor next, and you don't wanna work on a hot motor, so I shut it off. Anyway, we got everything dialed all together here. Well, I haven't done anything, obviously, but everything's all where it's gonna be. So we're gonna set the laps up real quick. I'm gonna tile my plug wires away, the wiring, zip ties. I gotta make my throttle linkage shorter. There's not enough threads, so we'll have to cut and weld it. Get all that out of the way, just so nothing's gonna be touching the exhaust. Then we can fire it up. Then we'll set the timing, set the carburetor, a few things like that. I mean, the carburetor should be fine, but the timing, I'm gonna put a timing light on it. Hopefully I still have it. I think I might have burnt the end on it, but so the timing on it, I gotta get gas. This thing ran out of gas when I was driving it in to change the camshaft. Man, I feel like it was a long time ago. So I had to put just whatever I had in a jerry can in. So I gotta get a jerry can of fuel and then convince Danny to come out here and we'll go for a ride. It's not quite the same as the first ride because it's like another ride, but this is like straight six, probably never out of this thing, but the big block in, big block out, big block back in, big block out, and a small block Chevy in the matter of like 3 months. This car's seen a lot of action recently, but we'll get her dialed together, hit the open road. Look at that, everything's cleaned up. So I got plug wires run, stuff like that. It's all dialed together mostly. So now what we're gonna do is set the timing. So, very simple. All you'll need is distributor wrench. I recommend stealing one from your old man. They're free. And timing light. Now, for the way I'm gonna set this timing, you can do it kind of a couple of different ways. Set the initial timing. I'm just going to set the timing all in, whatever the initial timing is, it is. So I want probably 36 or 38 degrees timing all in, which means once you accelerate, the weights inside the distributor will open up and it'll advance timing. So that's what we're going to attempt to do. Now, to do that, you need a dial back timing light. That's what this is. So we'll dial her back to 36. So what this is doing now is when the timing mark on the balancer is at 0 degrees, once we're revving it, it'll actually be at 36 degrees. So we're going to start by doing that. My timing light is terrible. I've melted it, so I taped it to the #1 plug wire. That's pretty fancy stuff. And we should be dialed. So once we get that into the timing area we want, hopefully it'll run better, then we start messing with the carburetor. People always try to mess with carburetor and do screwing around. Set the timing first. Distributor is loose-ish. Oh, I could loosen it up. So you want it to be snug, but enough that you can kind of move it without too much issue. Perfect. Let's see how this thing sounds. I'm going to try and talk through it a little bit with the microphone, but this may be music if we blow the microphone out, because all the horsepower we're going to have on this thing. Ugh. Don't mind the starter, she's loud. Runs good. Has an exhaust leak somewhere. Okay. Okay, so it was pretty much right on. So just once you rev it up, timing mark becomes 0. We're actually at like 36, 38 degrees wherever I put in the gun. So that's all dialed together. It was obviously running fast. You could kind of hear it. If you could hear it in the microphone, hopefully you could. It was running fast. So now we can adjust the carburetor down, you know, all that sort of stuff. We do have an exhaust clickety-clack here. So I'm going to go and just double check the gaskets at the header, because down there I know it's tight. Hopefully I don't have a cracked header or nothing like that. And then we're ready for a drive after we get fuel. And Danny needs a donut or something because she's a little on the cranky side. She's all... It's life. So I'll tighten this all down, and next time you see it, we'll be driving with no hood on. We like to drive topless.
I don't know how to connect a battery.
Rolling again. Man, feels like it was not that long ago we had a running and driving car and we had to do a bunch of work to get there again. But transmission seems to work. It has all the gears, so that's pretty good. Feels like it has a little bit of power. It's amazing what 8 full cylinders will do. This motor was actually a good little unit here, so pretty stoked on it. So I'm going to chalk up the win. I think we'll be able to go home. I'll put the hood on it, and then we can start this damn glass. Hopefully, looks like it's really glued in there, but hopefully it won't be too terrible. And then we just got to do parking brake, few little odds and ends. I know I said that like a month ago, and I kind of thought we'd be done a month ago. Why your eyes closed? Is fumes getting in? I didn't notice anything. I wonder if
I got a big thing of dust in my eye.
oh yeah, there's probably dust everywhere in this thing. Sounds good, runs good. 60 pounds of oil pressure, 50 pounds of oil pressure. Temperature gauge isn't working though. That's all about. Oh well. Yeah, it doesn't have as much power as the big block, that's for sure. Sounds a little unhappy. Might need a little adjustment. Kind of falls on its face when you mat it. Maybe it needs a little bit more timing. I was too conservative. Anyways, that's it for now. We're gonna go back home because this thing looks a little sketchy. And it's summertime. So thanks for watching. Subscribe below, leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you have any tips on removing the glass, maybe let me know real quick because I'm taking it out tomorrow. Bye.